What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy Warren Watches Wrestling back at you with another video, and I am sorry the streak is over. I went down the show this weekend, that's why this video is going up a little late. I did delete all my social media, so nothing did get spoiled for me, but I was down the show this weekend. If you can't tell, look how red my face is. I am extremely red, but nonetheless, we did just watch this video of SmackDown. We're going to break it down, go over everything that we liked, everything that we didn't like, where we thought was good, we thought was bad, where we see the storylines moving forward, and everything else that goes along with this episode. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get right into it. And it kicked off with Nick Aldis in the ring. And Nick Aldis was announcing that Chelsea Green is injured, so he wants to bring Chelsea Green out to the ring, and he hates this part of his job. So it was very much foreshadowing that we are going to have Chelsea relinquish this title. And it did kind of like suck the air out of the building when we're like, oh, is this really how we're kicking off this episode of Friday Night SmackDown? Is this how we're starting our weekend off with Chelsea having to relinquish her title? Chelsea came down and cut a emotional, like such a great emotional real promo, and this side of Chelsea was such a great sight to see, because it goes to show that she does have range. She doesn't just have to be this comedy goofy character all the time. This promo was genuinely like terrific. It had me like on the verge, like my eyes were watering. I'm like, damn, like this is someone that you've been rooting for. We've seen her when she brought it up, said I was someone that had my face put in cakes, I was put in dumpsters, I was put through everything, I was known as just a goddamn comedy character, and I finally won this title. And you could tell this isn't her playing a character. This is her being Chelsea Green, the real person, speaking her mind, because she has to go through all this. She's the one that makes everyone else look better. So when it's finally her time to get the title, she gets hurt, and now she has to give it away. And like I said, the work that WWE did here, the work Chelsea and Nick did in this scene was absolutely terrific. It built it up. It was like, damn. And when Chelsea Green said, if anyone understands this, you should understand this. You're someone that worked. You had your moment at SummerSlam. Like, you know how hard I work for this. And just know, like, I will be the champion until someone takes it away from me, was her final line. I was like, okay, like she's going to keep it, but then she kind of hands the title over to him as she was walking out. Like I said, this way to start the show off was absolutely terrific. The feelings were through the roof. And when she did hand the title to him, like I was saying, it did kind of take the energy out of the building. Like the crowd was kind of like silent, upset. And then Nick Aldis was standing there and kind of turns around, kind of like a breakup scene. He says, Chelsea, wait. Calls her back to the ring. Says, you know, the GM in me knows that this is probably the right decision to take this title away from you because you are injured. But I don't want to listen to medical. As the man, you're going to be champion. I'm going to give you 30 days to recover. And if you recover in 30 days, you will defend that title and have to defend it. And someone will have to beat you. And I guess if she's not healthy, then at that point, she'll relinquish the title. But this segment was terrific between these two. This was a fantastic start to the show. It had you in your feels. It had you have that feel-good moment, that little swerve that they put in there where I guess they probably saw online, everyone was like, please don't take the title away from Chelsea. Like, we had Rhea have to not relinquish the title, even though she just had knee surgery, she never had to. And then we have, on Monday Night Raw, we have Liv Morgan who went 100 days without having a title defense. So don't take it away from someone that just won it, because clearly we're not booking them anyway. So I guess they did see that kind of sentiment online, and they kept the title on Chelsea, which was such a great feel-good moment. And then we had Gunther's music hit, which was kind of out of left field. I mean, I did jokingly say it during when Nick Aldis was saying he's going to strip her of the title. I was like, oh, we need Gunther out here, you know, come be the hero. But then Gunther's music actually does hit after they come back in the ring and they're celebrating. And then we find out, you know, Chelsea is still your champion, and she's holding up, you know, she's kind of in tears. And then Gunther comes out. It's just kind of, you know, Gunther calls out Nick Aldis saying, you know, why would you do me wrong? Why would you pull that stunt at SummerSlam, put in Kevin Owens in my match? And Nick Aldis was kind of like, hey, I put you in his match. Like, he was already set in stone to come back that day. You weren't, but I added you to that match. And then Chelsea Green's like, oh, you got burned. And then, you know, Gunther starts talking trash to Chelsea Green, which I was like, are we actually going to get a Matt Cardona save here? Yes, we absolutely did. Matt Cardona comes out. He tries to play the hero here. If you didn't know, that is Chelsea Green's real life husband. I mean, on screen, I don't think they've ever really been seen together from what I remember. But yeah, so Matt Cardona comes out to make the save for Chelsea Green. And like I said in the beginning, this is very nice change of scenery for these two, because yes, they both are these comedy characters that they play, but seeing Chelsea be able to be a real serious character shows her range, man. She, like I said, absolutely knocked this out of the park. She's who the fans want right now. As much as we love Rhea, Rhea should relinquish that title. Chelsea should be your champion. And I mean, I'm assuming her first fence will be about Nia, which we'll talk about really shortly. And that should crown her as your new champion. Now your interim champion, your new women's WWE champion. The crowd is so behind her. And this kind of set up for, I mean, it gives Matt Cardona something to do, but not to put down Matt Cardona, but for Gunther's side of things, I mean, this is the guy that did retire, Goldberg, AJ Styles, John Cena, now feuding with Chelsea Green, which he can't feud with, and Matt Cardona. So obviously he was taking shots at her, calling her name, saying, yeah, go ahead, be like a good dog and listen to your owner or whatever about Chelsea Green. And of course, Matt Cardona retaliates, comes in the ring, beats him up. And then that sets up the match. And we come back from commercial break and we have a match going on. Obviously, Gunther just ended up beating the absolute hell out of Matt Cardona. And he makes him tap out to a Boston Crab. Who knows with Gunther? Once again, another finisher added to the books. So I guess, I mean, I want to say he did it just because they were in Boston. So he wanted to kind of play that heel type of role there. So he beats up Matt Cardona. I thought there was going to be like a little post-match beatdown or whatever, but no, he was just one, and then we had Chelsea come in the ring to check on Matt, and then we had the Irresistible Forces music hits, so I guess we are confirming that that will be Chelsea's probably first feud when she comes back from this injury, as we have Nia and Lash Legend come out down to the ring and start cutting their promo saying she wants her title, and she wants to face Chelsea and beat her up. And so when they get in the ring, Tiffany Stratton was going to come down and make the save. She was in her gear, which threw me off at first, but I completely forgot that she had a title match later tonight, which is what this was setting up for. Tiffany comes out. Obviously, it's a 2-on-1 because Chelsea can't have physical altercation because she is actually injured. So she's probably not allowed to get hit or be hit. So they have this beatdown going on. And then we do have the Irresistible Forces getting the upper hand, beating down Tiffany Stratton. And she was selling her ribs, which should have kind of told you that she was most likely going to lose later tonight, because you know how WWE always plays this out. You have to nerf your babyface champion if they're going to lose. They can't go in that match fully healthy, and about 80% of the time, they will have nerf ribs, and most of the time come out with the tape on their ribs to make you know that that is what is in pain for them. But that is what we're kind of foreshadowing here. So we are going to go out of order here, but I feel like it makes more sense to go out of order in this type of way, because in the main event, actually, the main event match, because the actual main event match wasn't a match in the grand scheme of things. So this was the main event match. We had Jacy Jayne taking on Tiffany Stratton for the United States Championship, and Tiffany was coming in banged up. So throughout the match, we did see Jacy Jayne kind of work on Tiffany's ribs throughout the match. And, I mean, overall, these two had pretty damn good chemistry, I would say. Tiffany and Jacy had put on a really fun match. I mean, the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome" at one point of the match. Some really good close calls throughout the match. We knew it's a fatal influence match. We knew they were going to get involved. Chelsea Green came down to the ring, got in Jacy Jayne's face. And then towards the end of the match, we had a moment where Tiffany started to take over again, and then she looks like she's about to hit the prettiest moonsault ever, but she jumps up to the top rope, and instead of doing a moonsault, she kind of jumps to the outside to take out Fatal Influence to, I guess, in a way, protect Chelsea Green again and save her. So once she hits the dive to the outside, she rolls back in the ring, rolling encore, knocks her down, pins her. The pin was very awkward. The ref started counting on the other side, then she switched sides and started counting over here. Don't know why we did that, but Jacy Jayne does pick up the win in what was a pretty fun match, all things considered. And now we have Fatal Influence fully dripped in gold, ready to go, ready to be pushed. I'm glad WWE finally did realize what they had here. They have girls that should have gold, that should be your main heel faction on this show. I mean, the baddies were supposed to be with Jaden, Michin, and BFAB. They just weren't hitting it. They weren't hitting home. They weren't nailing their promos or their matches. So they did switch it here. This is who the crowd does like to boo. This is who the crowd is behind right now. And so I think it is the right call, giving these three the title. The only bad thing that I will say, and it sucks that I even have to say this, is hopefully Jacy won't be the United States champion that all the past have been. It's clearly the U.S. title. It's great for her to have a singles title, but this is probably the worst title in all of wrestling. Right there with Speed, because they don't put on any PLEs. They don't care for the title. Usually if you have it, you don't get booked correctly. So that does make me a little nervous, but I do think they kind of see what they have in Jacy and Fatal Influence as a whole. So giving them the title here was definitely the right decision. Tiffany moving forward, I think that decision is clear as day. It's going to be her most likely turning heel on Chelsea. She might help her win the match against Nia Jax, but that will be her first match. will probably be against Chelsea Reed once Chelsea gets healed, because Chelsea's the reason she got beat up by Nia and Lash, and then Chelsea is partially the reason that she lost here, because she wanted to take out Fatal to protect Chelsea and end up losing her title. So that is most definitely what we're setting up for right here, and that'll be a feud I'm okay with. And I do sadly see WWE pulling the trigger on that match so we can get Tiffany Stratton versus Rhea, because that is the big money match most likely that WWE sees there. Match that we haven't seen yet, two big superstars in it. That's the bigger money match, whereas Chelsea versus Rhea is probably not what they want to do. Also because Rhea is a babyface right now, and Chelsea is arguably the most over women's babyface right now, if not the most over wrestler right now. So you don't want to have Rhea come back and squash her, because that would just make her look like a heel and turn the fans against Rhea. So I do see that being the play moving forward here. And for the women, that was really all they had on this show. I mean, they had a backstage segment with Charlotte and Bliss kind of talking, and Charlotte was like, "Oh, I'm so glad to have you back. Like, thank you for making the save for me." And Bliss like, "It wasn't me. Like, it was, it was Tatum. Like, Tatum's the one that really helped us out." And they said, they opened the door to see Tatum, who built their locker room, which is just black walls with pictures of Charlotte in it. And I do think this, for the future-wise, is setting up for this heel turn that we are inevitably going to get. I think Bliss is going to choose Paxley, and then that's why Charlotte's going to be the one cut out. Heels, Bliss's tendencies recently have been very heelish with the way she's been towards Charlotte. And so I do see this being the play, is putting Bliss with Tatum. Now, Tatum can be still your babyface, because her character work, even on this 40-second segment, knocked out of the park. She's exactly who you think she is. She's going to be able to knock all these segments out of the park. She's a great character worker and great promo worker. So she can still be your babyface and probably get bullied by Bliss, which can make Bliss his ultra super heel. And then that could be Tatum's first feud against Alexa Bliss. But I'm glad she is with these two, because this way at least she will be getting screen time every single week. Now, moving on to the men's side of the thing, we'll start off at a low point of the show. Baron Corbin was taking on Carmelo here in Carmelo's hometown of Boston, and they had a pretty decent match, I would say. Then again, Carmelo's going to have a good match with anybody. I think this was Baron's best match since his return, but like I said, Carmelo's going to get a good match out of anybody. It doesn't really matter, and we kind of know how things go around here. Carmelo got pinned in a clean loss because WWE hates Melo. I don't know what the problem is with Melo, why we don't want to give him a title, he's had the U.S. title, but why we don't want to push him or put him on a PLE. And I guess they see something in Baron. But here, first off, I don't like that point that Melo lost this match clean. I think Melo should have won the title. He was a great champion, had a great run when he had it. I think his character work and his mic work is solid enough, and he's one of your best in-ring workers. Why we can't reward him, I don't know. Hopefully he'll get another shot down the road. Maybe put him in Money in the Bank. It would be very, very fun if we did that for him. But it looks like WWE does not want to push him in any way possible. And Baron does pick up this win pretty clean. And this is where I really start to lose faith in this whole U.S. title scene. Is Trick Williams' music hits. Just why? I love Trick and all, but why is he going back after this U.S. title? What was the point of having to lose to Baron if he wasn't going to move on to bigger things or better things? I get it. The main event scene is very, very crowded right now with Kevin Owens, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Gunther. It's very crowded. But Trick is your young and up-and-comer, and if you want to book the future, he's right there. And you had him lose to Baron Corbin, not in a clean way, in a little bit of, false clean where you used the title. But all in all, you had him lose twice to Baron Corbin. Let him move on, man. Let him move on to different things. Instead, you're going to run this feud back again. And so Trick Williams' music hits. He looks down at Trick. Little Yachty's in the ring with a trick stick is what they're calling it. He hits Baron. Baron doesn't even get phased at all. Turns around. Trick comes out, hits him with a trick shot. And that's that whole segment. Like I said, I'm not a fan of this. These two did not have great chemistry the last time they feuded, which wasn't long ago, and we wanted Trick to feud with Melo instead, but now we're having Trick feud with Baron once again. There are other guys on SmackDown that we can use. You still do have Kit and The Miz. I know, you don't see them as title contenders. Yet you do have Ilya Dragunov, believe it or not. He is out there somewhere. Don't know where, but he is still in your roster. You could use him every now and then to change it up, but we're going back to Trick and Baron. And am I excited for the feud? No. Do I really care if Trick wins it back? I guess it would be a plus, but it's not going to really do anything for me. I'm just ready to see both these guys move on to something else. Now this, on the other hand, talking about CM Punk and Kevin Owens promo battle, was terrific. It's just an absolutely great. It's two of your best promo workers going back and forth. Two guys that genuinely do not like each other, taking jabs at each other. And it was to be expected. It's a great work, and I'm so glad they came out. They didn't have to get physical. They didn't have to brawl. They put them in two separate corners. They just let them talk. Let them talk. Let them cut deep shots at each other. And there were moments where you can tell they're talking over each other. I genuinely do believe that these two do not like each other in any way, shape, or form. And you can kind of tell that by the way that they cut in their cadences, the fact that they were trying to cut each other off when they were talking. They do not like each other. It's very obvious, and I could watch these two feud for months. I'm kind of disappointed that the match is happening next week. But this go home for their match next week was terrific. They both absolutely hit home here, taking shots. I'm not going to recap everything they said because, honestly, there was a lot in it. I mean, the one line I know that Punk was kind of saying to Owens is like, where Owens said to Punk that, you never thought I'd be this. Like 20 years ago, you were, belittling me in front of everyone at an independent show. You never thought I'd make it or be anything. You just thought I was some fat guy from fat slob from the indies. He goes, but I main event at WrestleMania. Something you'll never do is I main evented facing Stone Cold Steve Austin. For you that don't know, CM Punk was supposed to fight Stone Cold at WrestleMania, but the match never actually happened. So Kevin Owens bringing up the fact that he was able to do that, and he made a great name for himself while CM Punk was gone. CM Punk kind of came back, was like, hey, do you think you would be doing that if I was here? All things considered, I mean, I like Kevin Owens, but I think Punk is probably right. He probably wouldn't be in this position if CM Punk was still around. That would be Punk in that opportunity in those positions. And Punk was saying, if you were that great, maybe you should have avoided that spear from Bill Goldberg, that everyone was a fan of when Goldberg came back and kind of buried Kevin Owens when he was the Universal Champion because we wanted to set up, I believe it was Goldberg and Brock was the match that they wanted to set up at the time. But he was like, yeah, you could avoid that spear if you were that great. Owens kind of came back and was like, yeah, you should avoid that spear from Roman. Levels to this, I will say Roman is not no damn Goldberg, especially at that time. Roman is your top guy. He's your top champion. He's your face of the company damn near. So it's not the same. I get what he means. Like, hey, you thought you were the top guy, but they passed off to someone that's bigger than you type of aspect of it. Kind of ended saying, I'm going to beat your fat ass next week is how Punk ended it. Punk was doing kind of a lot of like body shaming towards Kevin Owens, which I get, but Kevin Owens is not someone that like cares. He's very aware of his body shape and size, and he doesn't give two F's about it. But all in all, this was an absolutely great promo segment between these two. And their match next week, I do just see CM Punk winning, not in a clean way though. It's either Punk wins in an unclean way so they can set up a rematch, or they might have like a no contest where someone gets involved or interference or a double countout, which I think would be really corny to do because it is in Toronto and they're building up to be this big match. But then again, we see how tonight's main event ended. So I don't see this being the end of their feud. I see this being the beginning, and I would not be mad if they ran this feud all the way to the end of the year if they really wanted to and have it end at Royal Rumble. And if they want to bounce the titles back and forth, have Kevin win it, have Punk win it, have their band match where whoever wins that will go on to be a champion. I'm absolutely okay with that too. But yeah, terrific segment between these two. And then we had our triple threat tag match or our 6-man tag match. And I am glad that they did it this way. Sometimes when they do like the 3 or 4-man tag, only 2 people in the ring at a time. I don't understand why they do that. There should be 3 people if there's 3 teams. But this match was fun. This match was a lot of fun. A lot of big, strong guys just throwing each other around, smacking the hell out of each other. Some good, cool spots here. Great knees from the War Raiders moveset in this match. They do have a very deadly moveset. Actually, them and MFT both have like movesets that look devastating. And Damian Priest looked like $1 million in this match too. He was taking everyone out. All in all, really fun match. And I think we all kind of knew how it was going to end. There was some false hope moments for, Damian and R-Truth. War Raiders had a close call where they almost won it. But in the end, MFT did end up picking up the win, becoming your new champions. And I think they are going to be a relatively dominant champion group with Haku with their father with them, leading them along the way. So I think this was probably the right call here. Let Damian go off to go be a single star again. He didn't do anything that made me think he would be a heel. Like I said, his promo last week made me think maybe he's going to be a heel, but there was nothing in this match that kind of led me to that. It was, R-Truth, the one getting pinned, so that could be his reason to do it. So we can get Damian back to being a heel since all your main eventers right now are baby faces. And if you want him to be a heel, if you wanted to go after a main event title or even a mid-card title, if it is to be Trick or Mela, he would have to be heel. So I see that being the future for Damian. Our truth is our truth. He's just going to be continue to be who he is. He will be perfectly fine where he's at. War Raiders go back down to AAA, and for the tag, you never know what they're going to do with tag champs. If they're even going to book them, if they're going to go catering, if there's going to have backstage segments. Now, there was something on Twitter with Shinsuke that they might be feuding with him. Is their next feud coming out of this? But once again, I'll talk about all that at the end of the video. Another backstage moment we had was with Finn and Gunther. When Finn popped up, I was like, oh, we have Finn back. That's right. He wasn't here last week. I'm glad he's actually on TV. And he was talking to Aldis. Like, I thought he was going to feud with Gunther. And then we see Gunther walk in and kind of, take shots at Finn, saying, I need to talk to you. Aldis like, I'm talking to somebody. He goes, who? Where's Finn Balor? He goes, I see a shadow of who Finn Balor used to be, calling out Finn. So these two are obviously going to have a feud going forward. I think they set up a match. Maybe it was next week, but they definitely are setting up a match between these two. And that will be I think this would be a really, very fun feud for both of them. The only thing is, I don't see them having Gunther lose, since he does have this whole thing where he's undefeated in singles matches that aren't for a title. So I don't see them losing to Finn, but we have been building Finn up. So I would not be mad if Finn was to win this feud and give Gunther his first singles loss for a non-title match. We also had Cody backstage talking to Aldis, and he was kind of, trying to set up their match with Randy, which we did get that set up. It looks like that is announced for a Sunday night main event coming up in September, I want to say. So that match is definitely coming up. And then Sammy came back and interrupted him, saying, oh, nothing changed. This character for Sammy has been terrific. Nothing changed. Look at it. Everything is still the same, even if he was champion. You have your golden boy talking to the general manager. He can't find time for no one else, but, he finds time for Cody. I can't get a word in with Nick Aldis, but he'll set up a match for Randy for you. And then these two having a little back and forth going on. And then they set up their main event match between Cody and Sammy. And Sammy's like, I'm still hurt. But Aldis told him, it's the #1 contendership match. If you win, I'll let you face whoever wins between Owens and Punk. Setting that up for the main event. And then when the main event came on, we had Cody enter. And then as Sammy's music hits, we have Randy come out. Randy comes out. He attacks Cody, kind of takes him out. And then they fight through the crowd. They come back out around the crowd. And then this is the moment that we're teasing here. We definitely are teasing this Cody heel turn. For sure is a play, because we have them fight through the crowd. As Randy comes back, he sets up the stairs in the same way he did before WrestleMania, where he puts his head between the stairs. He looks like he's going to try to, kill him with a chair shot. And Cody hits him in the nuts, kicks him in the nuts. And then Cody flips it, puts Randy on there. And he's kind of like has a chair in his hand, like, should I do this? And he turns around and he lifts the chair above his head like he was going to hit Randy and take Randy out, kind of solidifying this might be a heel turn for Cody Rhodes. He was stopped by, the security. They took the chair out of his hands, and, that was kind of how the show ended. Well, he jumped back up on the table as if he was going to do something like crossroad him or something like that, and then the show cut off. But, yeah, that's how the show cut off, and it was kind of disappointing to set up a main event match. I did say it's very refreshing to see, Cody Rhodes fight on SmackDown, like a match with Cody and Sami. It's nice to see. And then we had to end before the bell even rung. That's what I mean. The JC match was technically the main event, because this match, the bell never rung. We just had Randy attack him during Sami's entrance. And the whole time this is going on, Sami's just standing in the entrance, absolutely baffled by it. Like, again, like justice for Sami. He was supposed to get a #1 contenders match. If he wins, he gets to go on to face the winner of Kevin Owens and Punk, but he didn't even get a match. So I'm sure that will send him down his path of continuing to, be screwed over and not get his opportunities correctly. And clearly, we know what this is setting up for. It is Randy and Cody Rhodes, and they're fighting at the Sunday night main event coming up. So I hope that the following weeks that they're going to probably continue to brawl. That would be my guess, but I hope they don't brawl. They just let them actually have a promo battle back and forth between each other. And if this Sunday night main event leads in a Cody heel turn, I will give WWE props to pull the trigger at an event like that, because they usually don't do needle moving stuff at events like that. But if they were to do it, it would it would be something for sure. Now, once the show ended, I went on Twitter to kind of see what people were talking about as I was making my video. And they posted so many clips on Twitter. This isn't me giving WWE Twitter a shout out, but they posted, I want to say 5 segments. All in all, they posted, Fraxium and Ricky Saints backstage. Then it was Shinsuke calling out MFT and his new partner that they were hinting at last week. And then we had Paige segment on Twitter as well, calling out Nikki Bella. We had The Miz and Kit Wilson on Twitter, and then they were talking about Matt Cardona, moving that storyline forward. And then we finally had Blake Monroe, who's going to make her debut match the following week against Julia, two people we've been asking for on Twitter. Now, if this is a prom of the 2-hour SmackDown, maybe. But then again, we've seen the 3-hour SmackDown. They weren't booking these people anyway. They were just doing more recaps and more nothing when they had the 3 hours. So it's not like we can say if it was 3 hours, all this would get involved in the show. But seeing this, kind of just like, why would they not post any of this? Because all these segments were pretty solid. Like I said, we're going to finally get Blake Monroe in a match. That's relatively big news, but it doesn't look like WWE sees it that way. Kit and Miz, this was only like a minute-long segment. You could have fit it in. Paige, I thought she was going to come back and be like in the main event scene because now she's on her singles run. So to not let her even get a vignette on SmackDown was kind of surprising. I mean, Shinsuke, we really just built it this last week and we kind of went away and posted it on Twitter this week. So it was kind of confusing. Fraxium and, Ricky Saints, I'm not really surprised they posted that on Twitter because they haven't really booked any of them correctly anyway. But I just thought it was interesting to see how much they posted online opposed to on the actual show. Now, do I see this feud going anywhere with Fraxium? I wouldn't be mad if Fraxium got put in that tag match or the tag team division. I'm sure if they are in a tag match, they're just going to get squashed by Shinsuke and his partner or the MFT. So whoever that is most likely who their next match is going to be if they're going to lose. Ricky Saints, I don't know. He might be going after Baron Corbin. I doubt it because he hasn't done anything. No, he was actually talking about he wanted to go after the AAA Cruiserweight Championship. So he went to where Rey Fenix was because he wants to take him on. So that's going to be his next in Denver. Maybe they'll send him down to AAA, or maybe he'll just be on the main roster taking on Rey Fenix. And Shinsuke, like I kind of said, he was noting at his partner that he has coming along with him, so he definitely has a tag partner. He said he's a ticking time bomb. He's all chaos. He's what you guys want to be. So like I said, whoever his partner is will probably beat Fraxium next week, setting up a #1 contendership against the MFTs. And Paige, I mean, pretty right to the point here. She cut a promo against Nikki Bella, kind of calling out Nikki Bella's BS, saying, I didn't come back to steal your spotlight. You really asked me to help you. I didn't volunteer to be a Bella. I was asked by you if I could fill in for your spot, and I did because I love your sister. She's like, you think I wanted to make my big return as part of the Bellas? It's a great point. So setting up towards their feud, it was a pretty solid vignette. This means absolutely nothing. I mean, Miz and Kit just were being Miz and Kit backstage. And like I said, we finally will get Blake Monroe on next week, which is needed because if we're going to have... She did jokingly say, you should put me in a match against Chelsea Green. I was going to make a video for who will dethrone each champion. Originally, I was going to put that out earlier this week, and I did have Blake Monroe. I know it makes absolutely no sense, but I was like, this would be a fun swerve out of nowhere to push her right to the main event scene. But she's going to feud with Julia, it looks like, and clearly neither one of them can get screen time, so I'm not too promising to see these two have a match because last time we seen Julia in a match, it was a 2-minute squash match. So all in all, I think this episode of SmackDown was a really fun, good episode. I thought, like I said, all the segments, the promo battles were really, really good. The only down point of the episode was just that Mello and Baron match because they were just rerunning the same feud from before. But Fatal Influence win was the right call. We're definitely moving the stories forward there with Tiffany and Chelsea. The opening segment absolutely knocked it out of the park, was very emotional, hit every note it needed to. KO and Punk did everything they were supposed to do. The tag match was fun. I think they made the right decision there. And we are continuing to slowly turn Cody heel. And if they actually do that, that would be amazing. And I'm cool with Cody being babyface. I just think it would be such a cool thing to do, like such a swerve that I would not see coming. So all things considered, I think this episode of SmackDown was absolutely terrific. I'm glad that I deleted all my social media so I didn't get it spoiled for me. And I'm back on the path of uploading every day. So this is day 1. And we are going to hit 100 days. I promise you that. So, and just give it in due time. It will happen. So it's been your boy Warren watching wrestling. Y'all stay beautiful, world.